Run Pure Sports to shout out our hosts who had great calls last week and our members who are coming off a huge week where they shipped over $1.2 million in prizes. Congrats to our very own Bobby who landed a ticket to the DraftKings Live NFL Final in Miami.
He called it a touchdown! Woo!
Touchdown, Ayuk!
Let's go!
Let's go! Let's go!
Bobby made a huge call on 2% owned running back Rashad Penny, who ended up with a slate-breaking score of over 29 fantasy points on DraftKings. Penny also landed on Run Pure Sports member the Man 11's 100K winning lineup on FanDuel, continuing the trend of six-figure hits for RPS members. On our Sunday morning Wood Show, Hoop body bagged everyone with his Hunter Renfrow call. Congrats to him for sticking to his guns with his rich parents play of the day while everyone else made fun of him. Renfrow went on to have a monster 30-point day for the Hoopster.
This one with my boy Renfrow, I just cannot wait. Cannot wait. And this could be it because I'm feeling good about it. Where he gets that 30 piece, I can just.
So how many weeks does it count for, like 3 seasons?
How many guys in the NFL go for 30? Like, there's not many guys.
And he's not going to be one of them, I'll tell you that, Hoop. But you'll get.
He finally jumped in. Thank you.
He flipped on me.
BigT continued the good mojo Sunday night with his call to start Jakeem Grant in Sunday night's Showdown slate.
The guy that's going to win the slate, I'm always good when I pop in at the last second like this, is Jakeem Grant. Mark my words.
Grant went on to have 2 touchdowns, shipping BigT first in Yahoo single game tournament. Run Pure Sports member Anger Tornado joined BigT on the Jakeem Grant play to bank a first-place finish in the DraftKings Showdown tournament, taking home over $13,000. Also, big congrats to Run Pure Sports member Swint, who took home $20K in MMA. Bad Lab joined our free MMA show the day of the event to lay out all of the best plays. Our guests have been killing it lately, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our free shows. If you are not already a Run Pure Sports member, now is the best time to join. We partnered with SaberSim to offer a huge package deal where you can get access to all of Run Pure Sports content, along with SaberSim's industry-leading optimizer and projection system. All you have to do is simply use promo code SABER15. This will knock 15% off our already low combo price for the life of the subscription and save you even more money. That comes out to be just under $130 a month for the RPS and SaberSim combo. Or you can add in our bet side and bump it to just $140 a month. That's an incredible value, which would normally cost $190 a month with separate subscriptions. But act now because this deal expires on Thursday. So what are you waiting for? Join today and let's run pure.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. You got the Tuesday crew. They bring you the best slates of the year, all the 3-game bangers. You got Hoop, you got DC, you got me, and we're breaking down the really difficult slates where you got to just dive in and talk about some ugly players, but we're here to do it for you guys. We got tons to talk about. Hoop, we'll go over to you. Obviously, we can mess around a little bit. The guy in the chat who wants to get right to the NBA chatter, don't worry. We will get there. We will get through all the games. K Phallic, enjoy your time in Vegas. Don't hop in the YouTube chat and harass us about getting there for the premium show because you know what? There is no premium show today. We don't have one. So, Hoop, we got all the time in the world to spend on the YouTube channel.
Yep. I need K Phallic to come through on this freaking Renfrow jersey. This thing is pissing me off. Like every time I have one lined up, it's like 2 weeks out and then I go to check out and it's not available. I need the Renfrow before Sunday. My boy Marcus King yesterday, fingers crossed, I think is coming through. So we'll see. But if not, got K Phallic in Vegas that's going to come through for me. In terms of slate, 3-game slate, last week, me and DC were making fun of you because it was, it was just clearly the most like miserable 3-game slate of all time. Like the argument in favor of it was like so weak, but today I think it's actually nice. All teams have guys that are in play to various degrees. Got injury news, Kevin Durant potentially sitting, got Ayton news at that 10 p.m. lock game, 10 p.m. Eastern lock game. So, very exciting slate, I think. All games within 5 points should be fun. A lot of different ways to go, a lot of guys in play.
Yeah, Hoop, I can confirm. If your guys are not getting it done, my guy said he will get it done. He actually, after our show, he sent me a FaceTime. He happened to, it was perfect timing. And he said, yeah, I can drive down to the Raiders team store. I can get a couple Renfro jerseys. He'll send them out. So
yeah, I mean, I can get him an overnight shipping label. So seriously, please make that happen. If I happen to get two, I'm good with that too. So yeah, if we can follow up on that after, that would be greatly appreciated.
I can get it done. I have faith in my guy. He will get the job done, I think. So we'll talk. Sounds like we can make this work. I don't know. K Fallick. I don't have faith in K Fallick here on this one. I don't know why. Well, what is K Fallick doing in Vegas? Do we know what his adventure is? Is it a work trip? Is it a for pleasure? What's the trip for?
He said vacation, so I'm assuming like family type scenario, but like he has young kids, so going to Vegas doesn't make a ton of sense. But I mean, K Fallick is so rich. I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, when you're super rich like K Fallick, you can go places that others don't think to go.
K Fallick's the guy that he will like bring the babysitter on the trip with him, right?
Yeah,
like a babysitter that's always there, and I'm like, all right, you're coming on the trip to Vegas, well, you watch him most of the nights. We'll give you like one night where you can have a good time, and we'll do something with the kids, but you're babysitting them. DC, does that sound about right for Mr. K Fallick?
It does. I had the same questions when I found out K Fallick was spending all this time in Vegas, because he doesn't strike. I've never met the man, but he doesn't strike me as a guy who's tearing it up at the Vegas clubs each and every day until 2 a.m. I could see him as a craps player, perhaps. Again, just a guess on K Fallick, but I would like to know. I'm sure we'll find out eventually what a Vegas vacation for Mr. K Fallick looks like, because I think we're all a little curious.
Yeah, K Fallick is the guy at the craps table. You see the table and it's like crowded, right? And you can't see anything, and you look over and like you finally get a peek, and he's the guy rolling the dice, right? Like no doubt.
Oh yeah.
Face on a
run. Yep.
Yeah, on a huge run. That is no doubt what K Fallick is.
I'd join that table for sure if you see K Fallick rolling some good dice.
Yeah, I would definitely be in on that. And he's stone faced the whole time, right? Like he wants to keep
no emotion at all. He's probably what do you need? Sevens in craps. He's just probably just firing them, and just like no emotion whatsoever.
He picks winners for us, and I bet he rolls winners on the craps.
Oh yeah.
No doubt. We'll definitely get some Rum Pure craps going on at some point. That'd be a good time. DC, how about this? I'll ask you, I had a conversation with my grandma today. You know what she said? She told me about Pat Mahomes. That Pat Mahomes guy is so great. Is he that great anymore? Is he back? Is he going to win the Super Bowl? That is my question. That's what
They're the favorites. I just looked. They're the new favorites to win.
Because everything was 2 months ago, right? Our coordinators chat, 2 high safeties, Bobby Gomes. Everyone just chitting on the Chiefs. And I said, relax, because you know what? The Bucs looked awful around November last year. And guess what happened? It turned around. And that's the NFL. It turns around. So are the Chiefs back? Pat Mahomes back? What's going on with the Chiefs? Give me some thoughts on that.
Good question. I don't know on the Chiefs anymore. Like, I don't feel super comfortable in my ability to evaluate that situation. It's just been such a strange season for the Chiefs. I think obviously, of course, they could be back, right? There's certainly a decent probability of that, but I don't know, man. Like this last week, I was on the Chiefs defense. I didn't really play many of the Chiefs offensive players. Obviously, it went both ways, but if that Chiefs defense can keep playing the way it has the last 3 or 4 weeks, Mahomes doesn't need to get all the way to 50 touchdown Mahomes, right? If he can not have to do everything, yeah, I think like Hoop said, they're a favorite. I don't have any problem with them being a favorite for the Super Bowl.
Hoop, how do you feel about the Rams ticket? So I got the Rams ticket too. So I got that a while ago. I feel okay about it, but I don't feel like incredible. So I'm curious to see where do you feel on it? Because I do think the AFC is pretty wide open, and I think the Chiefs are going to claim it. And NFC is going to be like a juggernaut fight. I wouldn't be shocked if it's just like an absolute brawl, and you see like the team that gets to the finish, they just kind of like die out and maybe in the Super Bowl because it's a tough contest.
Yeah. I feel much better about the Rams tickets that I'm holding after last night than I did before last night. I mean, that was a big win for them. Kind of Cardinals, I don't know. I mean, I think a little overrated. Struggling at home, which is weird. I mean, that's never a good sign. Have to really dive into the schedule and see where they picked up all these wins along the way. But yeah, I'm not, I think the main thing though is like I was talking to my buddy at the gym today. There's like not a standout team that you're like, this is the best team in football. I mean, would you say it's the Bucs? Maybe it is the Bucs. I don't know, but like it's really wide open, which makes it exciting here down the stretch. Adding the playoff teams, adding the additional week, it adds more excitement just to the overall NFL picture, I would. There's like 5 or 6 teams. If you told me they win the Super Bowl at the end of the year, I wouldn't be shocked like at all. I hold some Rams tickets. I hold some Chiefs tickets. I feel pretty good with my position. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those teams get it done at that. And it's hard to repeat too. You know, the Bucs won last year. It's hard. It's hard to repeat no matter who you are.
Yeah. What about the Cowboys, man? That defense, Micah Parsons just ripping shit up. I mean, if they can figure it out with Prescott, get Zeke off the field, maybe get Pollard healthy.
That's what it's going to take.
I think they can compete. And then the Packers. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's balling the fuck out, you know? Like, obviously, he could lead that team to a Super Bowl. So, like you said, 5, 6, 7 teams, I think. And no team is unbeatable or even close to it. So every playoff game is going to, could go either way, I think.
Yeah. I'm worried about Rodgers' toe. He was saying like
he's fine.
He said he took a setback and like he said,
I think he's playing that up. Like they're kind of flying under the radar. They're the one team that's been really good this year, and they're kind of flying under the radar. I mean, you get 2 games against the Lions, you get 2 games against the Bears, you get 2 against the Vikings. So I think that's part of the reason why everyone's kind of ignoring them, but he looks good. Devontae looks good. They have 2 running backs that they can go to, both pass catchers. You have A.J. Dillon, who can just run dudes over. Mm-hmm. They're a dangerous team, too. I mean, they're very dangerous. So it seems it's pretty wide open.
That Cardinals win was a sneaky good win. I was very nervous about that game, but then once they beat the Cardinals and the way they beat them without Devontae and like just like absolutely ground and pounded, I was like very impressed. That was when I was like, okay, like we're more alive than I think. And there was some reason to be a little concerned earlier in the year, but it should be a fun end to the season. But yes, we will dive in. We'll talk about the NBA. We will definitely break it all down. Before we do that though, Hoop, let's talk about the partnership we have with SaberSim, right? We got all the sports, one price. I mean, we got so much going on over here, and the new partnership. If maybe you missed last week or so, maybe you were sick, maybe you were out doing holiday shopping. Tell the people a little bit about this new deal we got with SaberSim.
Yeah, so partnered up with SaberSim to basically bring their optimizer right to the Run Pure Sports website. It's right there on the homepage. We're running this deal right now, Saber 15. It's only going for a week, and I think it's up Thursday morning. It'll be gone. So you have today, tomorrow, essentially, to take advantage of the offer. Gets you 15% off any package that includes Run Pure Sports and SaberSim. So basically, you can get Run Pure Sports and SaberSim right now. So if you use that promo code, $127. If you were to buy both individually, you're looking at like $180. So it's a great deal right now. But it's only going to last a week, and you get that price month after month after month as long as you don't cancel. So the promo code SABER15. Another thing I like to talk about is how they're going to incorporate some of our content right on the SaberSim optimizer. So you'll have core plays from all our content people right on there. You'll have the cash plays tagged right on there. So a lot of new and innovative stuff that we'll be working on moving forward. So to go a little beyond the optimizer. So great deal. Limited time to take advantage of it though.
Yep, limited time taking advantage of that. Also, before we get in, let's talk about the members that have been crushing it over here at Run Pure Sports. I believe this was maybe a week or 2 ago. We had members win $2.2 million. That was last week. Then we had Swint win $20K in MMA. Big Mike won $7K in NFL. CB389, $10K in NFL. Angle Tornado 13K. The man won $100K in NFL, and then our boy Bobby Gomes hit that live final seat, so he'll be there in Miami trying to ship that thing. I know Big T.
Bobby Gomes seems like a Miami guy too. He's got he's got the tan going. He's got the hair's always looking good. Like he seems like that's his city.
He spent a few days at the pool in Miami. There's just no doubt about it. Looking at
yes, he's poolside or beachside the entire time. That's my bet.
Yep.
I was there with Bobby 2 years ago, so I do have intel, right?
Am I right? Am I right?
Definitely hit the pool.
Yeah.
He's like wants to party. You know what I mean? He wants to hit all the places.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's out and about on the town.
I'll throw down with Bobby Gomes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely out and about. He's getting that tan before he goes. He's definitely going.
Oh, he's got that thing primed 12 months out of the year. Like he's ready to roll with that tan for sure.
Yep, he'll get one extra coat before he goes on either Thursday or whatever day he leaves. I'm sure I'll be hanging with Big T and all them. Is there anyone else who's qualified? Do you guys know besides those two? Is there anyone else here that we know of?
There's other people. I've seen the screenshots, so we'll be represented there for sure.
Pensac got one, right? I think.
I believe so.
I think NBA he got. I don't think
NBA.
he got.
Yeah. There'll be other Run Pure representation down there.
Yeah,
the only bummer part is how they let people get 9 seats. I don't. That's like way too many. I understand why they do it, but like you have probably 4 or 5 guys that have 9 seats, which is 25% of the field.
I think that makes having one, you got a little bit of better chance because those teams are going to be, if
sure.
kind of it all goes wrong for those guys, you can jump, maybe a big chunk of the field. So I don't hate it for the little man.
You see, Hoop and I are cash game hand building men that want to just put our one lineup against your one lineup and call it a day, right, Hoop? And we don't want all these.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you have joined the MMA streets more, but in the end, Hoop, you like the one-on-one lineup kind of thing, and just you each get a team and you kind of call it a day. At least I think it's fun. But
no, I'm with you.
All right, let's dive in. Let's talk some NBA. Obviously, we only got 3 games, and there's a lot of different things to talk about on this slate. It's just not a simple one. It's not a snoozer. We got some interesting stuff to talk about. Raptors, Nets. Man, this Raptors bench. Let me just read the bench to you because the bench is bad. I mean, it's Wannabe, it's Svi, it's the Champagne dude, it's Malachi Flynn, Isaac Bonga, David Johnson. I don't know if that's the Texans' David Johnson. I mean, it's a rough group out there for the Toronto Raptors. So the starters, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher. Some of them might feel pricey. Boucher seems like a really great play. Some of them, they might feel expensive. Like Fred VanVleet at 8.6 might feel uncomfortable. Pascal Siakam, 8.3 might feel uncomfortable. But it is the Nets. And man, like it's hard to ignore the minutes that all these guys are seeing. Hoop, break this game down for me because the Raptors side is definitely an interesting one. You got like some of the Nets with all that COVID news that came through.
Yeah, I mean, the Nets super thin with a bunch of guys out, and they could potentially get even thinner if Kevin Durant's ruled out. Kind of popped up on the injury report with this ankle thing, and it was kind of late add to the report, injury report. A lot of times when you see that, those guys tend to sit. So first game of the slate, obviously we'll get the news, but that dictates everything. Like if he's out, you're playing probably 4 Nets guys in your lineups, 3 or 4 for sure. But as is, they're already thin. So with him in there, I mean, you can still play guys like Bruce Brown. Nick Claxton will have to play probably upper 20s, maybe low 30s. He's a great play. Bruce Brown will have to play minutes. Patty Mills, the price is kind of uncomfortable at 5.4. But, these guys are all like fringe. Nick Claxton, I think, is going to play regardless. But these other guys are fringe plays if Durant's in. But if Durant's out, you're playing all of them. And then Harden becomes like a lock on the slate. And then the Raptors situation, their bench is so crappy. Like you said, these guys just play as many minutes as they can handle. And they played last night, but it was a blowout and they didn't really push anyone. So, the back-to-back is no concern to me. Chris Boucher will still be in the starting lineup. Not flashing the upside that we've seen in the past, probably just because of the roster and, so many guys are productive. I mean, Scotty Barnes has been phenomenal this year. Gary Trent can get hot. So we're not seeing the massive upside from Boucher, but 25, 30 fantasy points, I think is, within the realm of possibility, or not realm of possibilities, but probably where he ends up. He's just been very steady for his price tag. He's going to play a lot of minutes here as long as he stays out of foul trouble. Siakam, better price tag on FanDuel at like 7-8, but in play on both. Scotty Barnes has been playing really, really well. Gary Trent Jr., you can count on him playing a ton of minutes in these close games. I mean, he'll get up to 40, around 6K on both sites, and then VanVleet. So, I mean, you have a lot of plays in this game. The Raptor side, it's clear. I mean, all these guys are going to play a ton. Boucher, probably the one that only plays like 28-ish minutes, but that's still fine for him. The net side, it is dependent on what happens with Durant. If with Durant in, I think Claxton, Harden, still great plays. With Durant out, you're going to be looking to everyone. Cam Thomas, Mills, Bruce Brown. So we need that news. It's a 7:30 Eastern game, first game on the slate. We'll definitely have it at lock time.
That's good news. We will have that news, and that'll be super important. And if both those guys play, Hoop, this is a good question. If both of them play, are you interested in I know there's some guys out, but are you considering more so fading some of the Nets stars because there's other options on the slate? And you have to guess between Kevin Durant and Harden, right? Like it feels like both of them don't get there. And it's like, if you kind of get the one wrong, you kind of feel like you're behind because you're behind the Harden teams or the KD teams. Like that is something to think about a little bit, I think, on this slate when there's other guys I think you can roster instead. So what's your kind of thoughts on that if they both play?
Yeah, I mean, the ankle thing is a little weird how it just kind of popped up out of nowhere. They added him to the injury report. I'd probably lean Harden, but Harden will be much higher owned because of that injury designation for Durant. So there's some game theory stuff involved there, but I'd just probably go with the safer option, and I think that's Harden tonight.
All right, DC, let's head on over to you. Obviously, James Harden is a good play today. You can spend up on him, but there are other spend ups on the slate, obviously. So are you starting your builds with James Harden, and how are you handling some of the cheap Nets and the Raptors in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, you have to love the Nets here, obviously, especially if Durant sits. But either way, I mean, I think they're the best team on this slate to target. I expect if Durant plays an 8-man rotation, two of those guys, Harden and Durant, are among the best fantasy players in the league, and the other 6 are all dirt cheap. So it seems like a somewhat of a can't miss situation to me for the Brooklyn guys, even with Durant in there. Mango, you said, Harden and Durant don't typically get there together. I agree with you on a bigger slate and in a different situation where all these guys for Brooklyn weren't out. On a 3-game slate, I absolutely think Harden and Durant could end up being in the winning lineup together, perhaps surrounded by a couple other Brooklyn guys. Claxton is my favorite. I think, he's disappointed so far, but coming back, it sounds like he got pretty sick from a non-COVID illness and lost a bunch of weight, but these guys recover quickly from that. This is a week later now. I would expect him to be basically a full go. And even in the Nets last game, Claxton disappointed, but they did leave him out there for like 15 straight minutes to end the game, which indicates to me that his conditioning can't be that bad. So I think Claxton's amazing. I mean, even Blake Griffin, if Durant is out, I think we'll see 30-plus minutes from Griffin, Bruce Brown, Mills, Cam Thomas. I mean, that's going to be the 8 guys to play, and then maybe they throw in this backup center. Sharp, I think, is the only other active guy on the roster. He's even interesting a little bit if Durant is out to me at 3K, because, they kind of seem like they want to go from Griffin, and you don't know for sure about Claxton. So yeah, this isn't quite as good as the situation we saw last week with the Hornets, when basically the same thing happened, right? Like 4 or 5 guys got COVID all at once. They were super cheap. Load up the wagons on the team and ship, and I think that's what it's going to be, honestly, with Brooklyn tonight, especially if Durant sits. But I could see, even if Durant plays, Brooklyn being just all over the leaderboards tonight.
Well, I'll tell you this, if I do play KD and Harden, I'm probably going to run it back with some Raptors. Like I think for sure. Hoop, what's your thoughts on that? Like, how many Raptors would you put in there? Like, I feel like if I was just going to play Harden and KD, I would probably fire in Boucher. I'd fire in Trent Jr. And then I'd see who else I can get in. Maybe one more. Maybe I'd get in a Siakam or a Van Vliet. I know that might be tough. I don't know if salary-wise that could work, but the point I'm getting at is if you did put both in your lineup, which you could, just go with that full-on game stack. And I don't think that's a bad approach on these 3-game slates where you see some games just blow out and guys lose all the rotations and the whole game dies. And maybe you just hit like that one game that just goes, absolute Yahtzee and just kind of hit everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing both those guys, you definitely want a couple Raptors guys, and you're banking on this being the game where it's 120 something to 120 something. It's back and forth all game long. These guys play 40 minutes, and this is the game you need. There's one of the other games blows out, and one of the other games kind of turns into a dud situation. Like, that's what you're banking on. So if you're playing both those big dogs, which 3-game slate, you can definitely do that. You need run backs for sure, because you're banking on this being the game that you need.
Yeah, definitely gonna be important, but we gotta obviously wait on that news. That's going to be super important on this slate. We can move on though. We can talk about the next game. Before that though, we got to get those likes up. 332 watching, 115 likes. So we're doing okay, but we got to get those things moving. First time saying it. And of course, you know how the Tuesday ship is ran, Hoop, right? We pull that plug instantly if we need to. So we want to give out those plays of the day. And man, it's a dusty 3-gamer. Well, it's not dusty. It's a 3-gamer though. So we really got to dive into some plays on these Tuesday slates. So we'll give you some gems, Hoop. So we got to get those likes up. Am I right?
Yeah, we're setting the bar high. I mean, it's not a exciting time for NBA. There's Christmas right around the corner, got the holidays. So numbers are down a little bit, but that means we need to bring the likes up. I'm going to set the bar high. We got 350. We need 200 to get to the plays of the day, or they're just going to go into the Discord.
All right, we'll shoot for that number. DC, actually, Hoop brought up like a thing. Christmas NBA is coming around the corner, right? We got the holidays here. Do you like the Christmas NBA slate? Does the lady like the Christmas NBA slate? Like, how's that work around that time of year with the family?
Yeah. I mean, it's Christmas NBA. It's a big slate, and it's my favorite. One of my favorite NBA slates of the entire year. I like being able to follow the games as they go along, swap teams in and out, try to there's a lot of strategy to it if you're paying attention to it for sure. And typically all the stars play if they can, right, in those games. It's fantastic. Like even the matchups themselves. I haven't looked who's playing this year, but they're like specifically chosen, rivalries and players that have history, and it's usually 5 great games. So I love the Christmas NBA slate, and the girl will have to deal with that, so it's all good.
Of course. What I do to the family, DC, I give them the list of the times. I say, okay, like this is a sweet spot time. I say this is a good time. Don't do like 2:30 when this game is like. Don't start at 2 and then I'm eating and I got to get up. Just plan around it.
Here's my thoughts. Am I like so required as like the life of the party that if I remove myself from the situation, you guys cannot have a good time without me? Like,
that's always my argument too, because like,
why do you need me
obviously
here?
Married with kids, the wife will always make, oh, well, you need to be here. You're like, am I really that fun to be around where like my presence is required? If I disappear to fix my gambling shit for like 20 minutes, like everyone's going to miss me. Like just give me my space.
That'll be just fine. Fine.
My family will pull, this could be like the last Christmas we're all together. You never know.
No.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's a heavy downer for sure.
The guilt card? No, don't fall for that.
But I still go. I'm like, I got lives to take care of. Listen, it's not my fault that they got COVID protocols going on in the NBA still. Okay, This isn't my fault. But that would be funny to see on Christmas, man. That'll be interesting to see how that news goes. But we still got this slate to go to, and also the stream is cutting in and out. People are saying so. Hopefully it gets a little better. Hopefully Simon's doing some stuff on the back end.
Just sorry. But do you remember at the beginning of COVID when like a player would get COVID and it would be like, everyone's like tweeting like I'm praying for their health, and now a player goes on the COVID protocols. It's like nobody. It's just like, well, okay, they're gonna miss. All right, I got to change my lineups.
Yes. Times have changed. Thank God.
You just gave me an idea, DC. When Schefter tweets out the 53 guys that are on the COVID list, I might do a GM tweet and, prayers up to, and then like add all the players, every NFL guy, the laundry list that are on the COVID list.
Nice and edgy. You better hope none of them die, because then you'd be the real asshole.
The dude yesterday, Wojnarowski, like freaking out. They got the first positive of Omicron. Oh my gosh, like the facility shutting down. Like, do one bit of research and you realize Omicron or whatever it's called is like less deadly than the freaking cold. Like it's the most mild form that they've had of this shit. Like, so people getting Omicron, that's like actually a good sign because this thing's like weakening, but people are like, oh my gosh, Omicron is in the Rams facility. Like, when does it end? When does it end?
I was talking to my dad who's a doctor. He was like arguing that arguably you want Omicron to spread because it will take out the other variants, which are more dangerous to have.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but that's like legitimate. That's not like being, soft about it. That's like the truth, and real doctors will tell you that. Like, that's like not a bad thing that this thing's going around. Anyhow, that's my rant.
That's the rant.
We're treading in dangerous waters.
Yeah. We don't want to get this thing shut down here.
Let's start ducking those comment sections, or headed on to Twitter, right? That's where it's always the times. But let's start with the Golden State Warriors and the New York Knicks, where Ray Allen is in the building tonight. Reggie Miller on the call. I mean, Steph Curry. If he doesn't hit more than like 2 3-pointers, I think it's like 3. I mean, if he doesn't hit it, like that's just a disaster. Like, let him hit it, give him a moment, and then let him hit it early, just let him make 2 threes to start it out and then move on. But the Knicks might not want to do that, because you let Steph Curry get hot, it can be a problem. And do you think that affects his ownership tonight? Like, do you think people are just going to like plug Steph Curry, and even at that super expensive price tag, and like his ownership gets inflated. And like also some of these Knicks are like kind of interesting. Like if you look at this slate, we talked about Harden, we got Curry, like they're all at 11-2, 11-5, 11-6. The next like highest price stud is Lillard at 9-7, Randall at 8-2, Van Vliet at 8-6, where like you're getting a really nice discount on a guy like Julius Randle in this same game against this Warriors team that is good defensively, but it kind of does fit his game style a bit, I think, for a good Julius Randle spot.
Yeah. So in terms of the Steph Curry's thing, like maybe like a few years ago in DFS, people would be like playing into that narrative and say, I need to play Steph. He's going after the threes. I think people now are just, more worried about like the price and the matchup and the situation. On FanDuel though, Steph Curry's like, what is he? 10, he's 10-2. Like he's a little bit cheaper than those other guys. I think he's really in play on FanDuel. On DK, he's right there with the Hardens and Durant's of the world. And if Durant's out, I definitely lean Harden. But man, this is a show-out type spot for stuff. It's, he's going to break this record. Everyone's going to be watching him. It's in Madison Square Garden. I'm kind of buying into it like a little bit. I think I definitely want some exposure to him. If he hits those shots early, he's going to keep firing and pile on. So yeah, I do like him. Draymond, slightly interesting. Andrew Wiggins is 5.9K on FanDuel. Slightly interesting, more last guy type in, not building block type plays. But on the Knicks side, I think they definitely have some options. I mean, they have some guys out here too. I think Randall's a good option, like you said, better priced on FanDuel, but in play, I think, on both sites. Quickly, he's been playing a decent chunk of minutes, mid-20s for him. And he's paid off value in basically like 3 out of the last 4 games. Burks, I think, is a strong play. Derrick Rose off the bench. Again, another game where I think there's a lot of guys like in play. I still think I prefer the other pieces in that first game, the Raptors Nets guys, over these guys. But I think these are a lot of not building blocks, but last guy in type plays that I feel comfortable if I ended on. I would just go ahead and kind of plug them in. So not is overall, it's probably my least favorite game in terms of fantasy options, but I think there are some guys we can look to here.
Yeah, and Hoop, the YouTube chat, it didn't get too dark, but you know what they did? They gave you a new nickname, Dr. Houchi.
I like that.
Oh, it's pretty good.
It's facts, man. Straight facts, man. A little bit of legit research, and you can kind of come to the same conclusion.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff there. So, DC, I'll go over to you. You love rostering some Julius Randle. He is at a good price, and like I said, like, there's some expensive guys on this slate. And like, technically, if you're a math guy, I don't know if you're considering ownership, but just math projections, Harden or Durant, like, are technically kind of better plays here than Curry, it seems like. So, but there's the Curry narrative lurking. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how this slate checks out, especially if you lose Kevin Durant. If you lose Kevin Durant from this slate, well, now there's only 2 guys above 10K that you can pay for. And that's Curry and Harden. And we do have we have a good amount of value. And if we lose Durant, we gain more value, where it's like, okay, like, it is kind of intriguing. And especially because both those guys are at the guard spot too. You don't have spend up forwards or center. So it does add an interesting dynamic if Kevin Durant is out with some of these studs. So how are you handling Curry, Randall, and some of these other pieces in this game?
Listen, I mean, I understand the argument that Curry gets hot early and the Knicks don't show up. Like, he's got his dad in the building and Ray Allen in the building, and maybe he just absolutely smashes. But like, he only needs 3 to get the record. If Steph Curry doesn't get you 3 pointers in any game, like, he needs typically 6, 7, 8, 9 3-pointers to really kind of contend with the other stars around his price point. And that's well beyond the record anyway, right? So I've also think just watching these last two games, because I was interested in seeing him maybe break the record. The other team knows that too. Knicks are at home here. They've got some pride. Tom Thibodeau is their head coach. What do you think his game plan is? To let Steph Curry rain threes up upon him at home? Like, no, of course not. They're going to do everything they can to slow down Curry. There's pressure on him. And look at the scores of the last couple games the Warriors have played: 102-93 and 102-100. Low scoring games. And that's because the Warriors are fantastic defensively too, right? They have been all year. When they're like, they're focused, they're playing hard, they're going to play good defense because they're trying to get Steph going, and that includes playing defense as a team, right? Like, the more you can just play well, the better chances your star is going to have to make a bunch of threes. And then you got the Knicks on the other side who are going to try to shut this down. And it just, I'm fading this game, basically. I think this is going to be a defensive game. I think where I'm wrong is like just Steph Curry, just explosion. But I think the Knicks are at least going to try their very, very best to show up defensively in this. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it doesn't work and Curry goes crazy, but especially if Durant is out, I can't play Curry over Harden. I just can't do it in that situation. Maybe I'm wrong, and you move on to the next day. But I'm not gonna buy into much Steph Curry tonight.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to roster him. I'm curious what the ownership ends up becoming.
He'll have plenty of ownership. I mean, I bet he'll come in. I don't know, 30% at least, right? Like there's just not that many, probably even higher.
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
not that many guys to play.
Yeah, and I mean there are routes like if Kevin Durant sits, there's routes where I'm sure you could play Harden, Curry, and like have a decent lineup that's like not terrible. It might not be like the best lineup in the world, but it's definitely a doable lineup. And it's like one that many people can, get to and like talk themselves into. So there's just enough value where I think that is possible. Hoop, what do you think of some of these other guys in the Knicks, like Alec Burks, Derrick Rose? Like there are some value plays you could play here on the Knicks side. Any interest in them? Because against the Warriors, like that small ballish lineups and like those two shooters are interesting guys that I think you could kind of get exposure to here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these guys are going to be dudes that I potentially round out my lineup with. I think Burks is a fine option. He's like 5'6" on FanDuel, very friendly price tag there. The guy I'm tempted to play, and it could be a mistake, is freaking this Evan Fournier. Like, how is he like so bad? Is it the team? I don't know what it is, but man, is he falling off sharply. But he's only like 4.3K. Can he make like a few threes for us? Because it's literally all it's going to take now for him. So I do have some moderate interest in him. Quickly, like I said, Derrick Rose has a nice price tag on DK at 5K. So yeah, I'm going to play some of these guys. It's a 3-game slate. Like it's tough to fully fade it. I think they're fine prices. And a lot of this has to do, a lot of how much we play these guys will have to do with the Kevin Durant news. Like if Kevin Durant's out, like we're not playing these guys. We're playing
all the Brooklyn guys pass all the Knicks guys.
Yes.
That's the easiest way to put it. All these guys between 3 and 5K that you might play. It's like, no, if Durant's out, I want all the Brooklyn guys. If Durant is in, then it's kind of mix and match a little bit, right? I think is a good way to put it.
No, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. We're doing good on the likes too. I think we already hit the number. The people already pushed it up. Maybe the COVID talk was good. Do we have to go back?
Yeah, people like my medical advice. Maybe I'll have to fire up a new YouTube stream here. Get DC on as my expert. Yeah, you got some inside sources. Your dad's a doctor. I didn't know that. I just found that out. Like we could get something going here.
Yeah, I mean that's a stream I don't know if I want to stay on. I think I let you guys do that. Maybe that could be the Tuesday show.
And me and Hoop will be ranting to like 42 watchers.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, me and DC will just randomly disappear off the face of the earth if we get that thing going.
It's better to spring it on the unsuspecting basketball fans, I think.
Yeah.
Set up the stream might disappear. There might be no hoop 2410.
Yeah.
The games will be easier. You guys can. It's good for you all.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the last game where it's Suns and Blazers, and this is definitely not a game to sleep on. It's a nice little nightcap. The Suns, man, they've got one of the best records in the league, and like I don't know what happened yesterday against the Clippers. I mean, I know yes they only had JaVale McGee, but like, geez, you can't let those Clippers do that to you. I thought that was a disaster. But we got this team and they're on a back-to-back. Chris Paul, I still think he's going to be fine. People always worry about Chris Paul on a back-to-back. I would not be worried. We also have Ayton is questionable. Is that correct still, where he might not play?
Yes, correct. And that is really, really big news. I personally think on this slate.
Yeah. And one reason it's big news, and it's because they don't have any centers, right? I mean, it's JaVale McGee, and like they'll play small ball for sure. And like the one thing I will say is like, you might think, oh, this is a smash spot for Nurkic. I disagree. I think it's like not a good spot for Nurkic, because what's going to happen is you'll see that Phoenix go small, and then you'll see the Blazers just say, well, we don't even like playing Nurkic anyways. We've been playing more Larry Nance and then Robert Covington and Nasir Little. And like, they'd just rather do that instead. And like, I think this is a bad spot for Nurkic. I don't think he's a good play on this slate. Of course, it could go the other way, right? If Ayton does play, then they're going to need his body a little bit more, and he'll be in there, and like that could be valuable. So that news is going to be very important. And Jalen Smith is already out, so it's like you're going to see JaVale McGee as being a great play, and it's about balancing how to like kind of figure out like your amount of exposure. Because if you just absolutely fade this last game, you could get dusted if JaVale McGee just goes in there and just like he could just be a like 1,000,000% on play. If you look, there's so many pivots too at that price range. If you look at this game, just go to DraftKings. You take JaVale McGee's at 4.2K. You got Jay Crowder, 4.2K, an exact pivot. Larry Nance, 4.3, exact pivot, which you just leave $100 at the center position if you really wanted. Nasir Little, 4.4. Cam Payne, 4.4. Cam Johnson, 4.4. There's just a million guys you can go. So at the end of the day, I think preparing for this news is important on this slate and something you want to be doing. DC, you're shaking your head. Yes. So how about you break this game down for me? Because there's a lot to talk about here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed certainly the first part of that, where Phoenix, they lost Kaminsky earlier, and then we're obviously waiting on the DeAndre Ayton news. But if they lose him, you said his name, but you kind of the Jalen Smith news. He's a third string center, right behind JaVale McGee. He's the guy that could potentially take minutes from McGee if he's also out.
I think he's already out. Actually, I think
no, he is out. No, sorry, yeah, he is out. So I'm saying if Ayton's out, that leaves McGee as the only center on the roster, and that Chris Paul to operate as Chris Paul, which he has to be Chris Paul, running the point, pick and roll, because Devin Booker's not in the lineup, and he needs a pick and roll center to play that way, right? And then the other guys are around the perimeter. So listen, I know McGee yesterday put up 31 fantasy points in 25 minutes. I think if this game is close or Phoenix is rolling, you could see McGee out there for 35 minutes, I think, playing pick and roll with Chris Paul and finishing lobs and putting up, I don't know, 16 and 20 or something crazy like that. Nurkic is too slow to kind of defend that play. And yeah, I honestly think you got to leave a spot open for JaVale McGee in particular. And then if Ayton is in, you make one of the pivots, right? If you want to, or you could potentially leave him in, because Ayton is clearly sick, a non-COVID illness. He's missed 2 games. He missed yesterday. Then they had to travel to Portland. So I wouldn't expect Ayton to be, kind of feeling 100% even if he does go. So even if you got stuck with McGee at 4,200, I don't think that's any problem here. And yeah, Chris Paul too, man. I think he could have a huge game going up against Damian Lillard. I expect those two to kind of go back and forth. And Lillard himself came back from 11-game injury. Obviously, CJ McCollum is out. The Portland Blazers, I believe, struggled pretty badly when Lillard was out. At least it seemed like it off the top of my head. Lillard might kind of be back a little bit. I think he could go on a little bit of a run here. Maybe he was playing through some injuries and the time off got him back, because he did have a really strong first game back, played 37 minutes. If the matchup for Lillard was better, I'm a little bit worried about it against Chris Paul, but you can look up specifically Lillard versus Chris Paul game logs, and Lillard has performed pretty well in those games. So this is, I kind of said I'm fading the Warriors and the Knicks. So it's kind of the first game and the last game for me where I think the stars are going to go off in these 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to talk about with the Lillard stuff and why you might think he's back. Well, look who he's playing next to, right? Like, so you take CJ McCollum off the court, and like that's a huge amount of usage. And like Dame has like yielded to him a ton, and I don't know why he keeps doing it, but he just does.
McCollum is fantastic too. I mean, McCollum is one of the best shooters in the league, so you understand why they kind of.
Yeah, I understand, but like it's just like Dame. Sometimes he's just more passive than people realize. Like he takes over when he has to. He doesn't just like do it from the start. It's like he's like, okay, now we're down 20, so now I'll take over. It's like, well, why'd you wait for 20? Why didn't you wait till it was like 8? Come on, like it's just. It's sometimes he's just got to take control a little bit more, which he's been starting to do a little bit, but you also have the opportunity that Nurkic might not be on the floor at times. You might have Covington in there. And like, if you make it Nance, Covington, Little, which last game, Nurkic did not see as many minutes. They did not close with Nurkic. You know what? He played 21 minutes and they closed with Nance, Little. I think they had Simons on the court and Powell. I know they definitely had Simons because he was shooting very well. I mean, he was like one of the best scorers in the game. So they kept him on the floor. But at the end of the day, Nurkic does have some risk to him. And I think that does help Dame. If you're not going to play Nurkic, then that helps Dame because it just gives the ball in his hands more. And that's great, obviously.
Yeah.
I love Chris Paul, though, in here in this spot. I like him more than Dame Lillard. Definitely going to be the guy that I would prefer to go to. And then don't sleep on these small ball lineups of Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson. Like those two guys, they get a really nice boost with Ayton out, but they're still good plays with Ayton in. So I would not just get off those guys completely. And also if they do go to small ball lineups, like let's say Ayton's come back from the illness and you know what? Hoop, that Omni variant's scary, right? I don't know if that's what Ayton has, but let's just say that they want to go small and Ayton doesn't play all the minutes in the world. They just do a small ball lineup and both teams do it. Like it just wouldn't shock me if you see Jay Crowder closing the game at the 5 or Cam Johnson.
I mean, I know you asked too, but I mean, if Aiden's out and it's McGee as the only center, like they're going to have to go small ball at times, right? Like they have to push Jay Crowder or Bridges to that 5. I don't think really have any choice at all. All for the minutes that McGee is not out there. So the minutes increase and then the opportunity increases as well. So yeah, very good points, I think.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. Definitely a game to I want a couple options in this game, right? I don't think that's why I think that Knicks, if you stack the Knicks and Warriors, you're probably different doing that, I would assume.
Yeah.
Hoop, what do you think of this game? How do you think it goes? Break it down for me.
Yeah, I agree with most of the takes. But the most important thing is we got to see what happens with Ayton, and it's a standalone 10 p.m. Eastern game. But luckily for us, we have a lot of different ways we can play this. You can build a team, have Jamal or JaVale McGee in the utility. If for some reason Ayton plays, we have Crowder, we have Larry Nance, we have Little, we have guys that we can play in place of McGee. So first off, when it comes to roster construction, I'm building my teams with McGee in there. If something happens and Ayton's in, I have other guys I can go to that are still going to play a bunch of minutes. So that's the first thing on my mind. Secondly, I agree with a lot of what you guys say. I think Lillard's sneaky tonight. He came back. There's no CJ McCollum. He came back and played 37 minutes.
That's the big thing. He's good.
Yeah. He was deferring a lot early on in the season to CJ McCollum. McCollum, remember, was having those big games to start the year. McCollum's not there. And if this team wants to win games, it has to be because of Damian Lillard. So I think he is in play here tonight. Priced a tier below, especially on DraftKings. You're talking almost $2,000 cheaper, $1,500 to $2,000 cheaper than those other guys, the top tier. So he's kind of a tier below those guys with the same upside. I think Lillard is maybe a sneaky play tonight.
Let me ask you, part of the reason that my Lillard exposure might be limited a little bit is because I just prefer Chris Paul at that same position, right? And you're probably going to kind of get stuck as this last game. I have no problem playing, but either of you guys have a problem playing both Lillard and Paul? I could see that working.
No, I don't. And there's going to be cheap enough guys where you can still get exposure to, the Raptors Nets game. And there's a lot of good ways to go about it. Chris Paul's priced at a good price point, 8.4K, mid-8, something similar on FanDuel. He's a strong play. Coming off a stinker last night, they got, beat by the Clippers without Paul George. They're not going to want to lose back-to-back games here. There's no way they're going to want to lose back-to-back games. So I think they come out and they play for the win here. Paul's a great play. Mikal Bridges, only 5K on FanDuel. That kind of stands out to me. And then on the Trailblazer side, Norman Powell is going to play a lot of minutes. 43, 42, 39. He'll play as many minutes as he can handle. Next to Dame, I know they're going to probably stagger him a little bit. Larry Nance, I really like. Good price tag on DK, 4.3. That's big that he closed 29 fantasy points, and definitely don't mind him. Nurkic, better play on FanDuel. He's only 6K. I think more in play there. I would not pay the 7.3 on DK. There's a lot of downside with him. But it's a good game for fantasy purposes. It's a close competitive game. It looks like both teams, obviously Suns coming off the loss last night. They're going to want to, get back on the winning track tonight. But, a lot of who we play depends on DeAndre Ayton. And it's not complicated tonight. Like I said, you can just put McGee in the utility. If Ayton's out, you leave it as is. If Ayton's in, you got 3 other guys from this game at the same price point that you can just plug right in there. So, it's very appealing game, I think, for fantasy purposes.
Oh, I don't know if we've disagreed, the three of us, on anything. I can't think of anything notable that we disagreed on this entire slate, which I think that probably means we're going to have a good night. And listen, if you listen closely to this whole show, you know, kind of exactly. We all got pretty much the same plan on this slate, right? I mean, it seems we're not going to have the exact same players, right? But just in terms of like a slate plan, what you're going to do, it does seem pretty cut and dry, which, maybe it should have been a premium show. I don't know.
No, we'll see. I mean, we'll get a lot of people in that winner's circle. We'll see.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. I do want to mention one thing that you talked about, DC, because I was just kind of thinking about it. So if you play Dame and you play Chris Paul, right?
Yeah.
And then you play Fred VanVleet, like that's a unique lineup. And it's not crazy. It's not terrible. Of course, you can make an argument like if you play Fred VanVleet, then maybe doesn't one of those studs go up, but like they're so expensive. And like there could be a route where like Harden goes for 60 and like Dame goes for 55 and Paul goes for 50, and you don't need James Harden. VanVleet is in a close game, and that's a better route. You're left with 4.6K for your last 5 spots. Just throwing all those guys from the Suns.
Very reasonable. And I mean, those sort of builds I think are good if Harden and Durant or if Durant's in, I should say.
Yes.
If Durant's in, those builds are much better. Now, if Durant's out, you don't want to go that route.
Yes, but it is the point.
You certainly can, but yeah,
you can.
I agree. The problem is you're going to miss out on the Harden, right? And if he goes for like 75, then he breaks the slate and you're in trouble.
It doesn't always happen, right?
The point I'm getting at is that construction right there is just unique. Like it just is. Like people aren't doing all of those guys together. And those are things you can do on this slate to build smart teams. And then people will look at the end of the day, man, like that was so simple. And I think it's not a bad route to go in tournaments, for sure. So, and I'm definitely going to consider it and look at it a little more.
I will say this too. I mean, I think the fact that this game, Dame versus CP3, is on TNT. Dame, Portland's had all kinds of shit going on with their team. He's without McCollum. Like if Dame and CP3, if this is a close game and they're both playing well, they're going to be out there, I think, a lot of minutes for this one, honestly. It's just that kind of game. I mean, CP3 shows out. I talk about it a lot with him. These big games, playoff games, he becomes a monster with, no Devin Booker out there. Like I really, really like CP3, and I think Dame's got a chance to go up as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be a fun game to watch as well.
Joe Ampy in the chat, he goes, I think Hoop's going double center on DK. How do you figure that one out? I said I got JaVale McGee I'm going to have McGee in my utility spot. That's he's onto it right there. Sharp gentleman.
He's caught you, Hoop. So double center Hoop tonight, it looks like. And hey, it's nice to have that little flexibility there going into that late game. Also, I want to mention some of those Suns, they didn't get like that full run last night because that game was a blowout. Like Jay Crowder only played 25 minutes. So don't worry about some of those older guys. I know Chris Paul got
they got small. I mean, it wasn't even all that competitive. They're up like 15-20 the entire second half. Like honestly, it really was not a competitive game.
Honestly, they were probably looking forward to this game on national television the next night, and they just didn't show up, didn't play. I bet they'll be back tonight.
Yeah.
For sure. So we got the likes up, right? We're at 256, 502 watching. So the people did well. We got to get to the plays of the day. Hoop, I'll go over to you. We got Dr. Hoopchi. Hoop, I can't say it now. Houchi.
Hoopchi.
Or Hoopchi. We got him with us, and of course, because you're a doctor, you got rich parents, right? That's how you got all that medical school and everything. So we need the rich parents play of the day. What do you got?
All right, I'm gonna go. Oh, all right. It's hard to find like a
low. Give your conviction play, Hope. It's a 3-game slate. That's all you can do.
Yeah, it was Terrence Mann yesterday. That turned out pretty well. He had a big game, so we're looking to go back to back. Same price range as Mann. I'm going Larry Nance. 4.3K on DK. Love the fact. I didn't realize it, but man, you said how he closed. I love the fact that he closed. Nurkic, I mean, maybe they're getting close to saying like, okay, we're not going to be a winning team with Nurkic on the court. So give me Larry Nance, played, close to 30 minutes last game, or 25 minutes, got 30 fantasy points. Big upside, guys. Give me Larry Nance Jr. as the rich parents play of the day.
I'll explain exactly what happened in that game for you. I know I watched it. I faded Nance last second because I needed to catch up, right? And the Nance fade was going great. It was awesome. He had 9 fantasy points, 4 fouls through 3 quarters. It was great. And then you know what happened? Someone says Nurkic was in foul trouble. Like, even if he was, they like the Nance lineups more. They've been saying it for weeks. Like, we like closing small ball. That's why Robert Covington's on the bench now. It just works better. And Larry Nance got 20 fantasy points in the fourth quarter. It was absolutely annoying and insane. And I was so tilted by it, but there's nothing you can do, right? It just happened. So Nance played really well, and I assume they're going to want to go back to that because they played better when it happened. It was just simple. So I expect them to go back to the well with some more Nance closing at the 5. Also going to help with Covington. Covington's a good defender there for those wing guys. It makes so much sense today. So I love the call, Hoop. I liked your man call yesterday. I love the Nance call. I was maybe going to make it Larry Nance, but I had a second one ready just in case. And I also was like trying to figure out, well, ownership is high on these guys, whatever. It's hard to figure out some lower owned guys. I'm going to go with Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder at that 4.3K price tag. Another guy I think you can mix and match throughout your lineups, man. When those 3 balls are falling, and against Portland, you can drain the 3. They're going to need him in there, and I think Jay Crowder is a really, really strong play. So give me him as my play of the day. DC, we'll go over to you. Who is your play of the day?
I'll go a little more conventional. We got 2 nice value plays there, and I don't feel super confident in which Nets I'm going to play. It all depends on kind of that Kevin Durant news. So I'm going to go to the last game of the night. I'm going to go with my guy CP3. I think he shows out in a big way. I think he'll have lower ownership. Not that he's going to be lowly owned. I think it's going to be a lot lower than it should be in my estimation. I think he's going to have a big game. Not worried pretty much whatsoever about the back-to-back, good matchup, and a nationally televised game. I think CP3 goes for 50 plus tonight.
Yeah, I also wouldn't worry if Ayton's randomly in. Don't jump off him. Like, he's good either way.
Oh, that doesn't matter. I don't really care about that at all for CP3.
Yeah.
You just gotta let the people know.
Could help him. I don't know their numbers, but he might be better with Ayton in there.
No change for me with the Ayton news on CP3.
I'm saving you in the Discord chat, DC. The news comes in and they'll be atting you. DC, is your player of the day still Chris Paul? I'm saving you, DC. I'm saving your time. That's all. I want to let the people know that you are still on Chris Paul. But that we don't got too much else to say, right? We got no JSU and BigT coming up next. So get in on the Discord chat. Use the code SABER15 for all of sports, one price. You get the optimizer, and tons of people are using it. And listen, if you haven't used it yet and you haven't signed up, maybe go look at the Saber. We have like a Saber Discord chat right there, Hoop, and maybe like DM someone that's already used it. If you see someone talking about that they used it, or asking like the NBA channel, who's used it? Can I DM you and ask you a question? You can DM us and ask us questions about it. I think it's a great way to go about it, Hoop. So tell people a little bit more about the optimizer.
Yeah, I mean, talked about it earlier, but yeah, just to continue on with what you're saying, we have their CEO and all their customer service people in our Discord channel. There's a channel dedicated just to SaberSim coordinators, basically, where if you have any question, they answer like very quickly, just scrolling through this. I mean, it seems like within 5 to 10 minutes, they're answering everyone's questions in there. The product's been phenomenal, so there hasn't been a ton of issues, which is obviously really good. But if you ever have any issues with SaberSim, their entire customer service team and their CEO right in our Discord channel answering questions.
Yeah, definitely have to check that out and take advantage of it. Take advantage of everything that we have over at Run Pure Sports. Use that code SABER15. And when does it end tomorrow, Hoop? Is it tonight? There's a rule on this, right? You can't.
Thursday morning. It's going to be early Thursday morning. It's coming down. And like I said, a lot of times in the past, we've run promos here. And we just extend them because it's just us making those decisions.
Yeah.
Well, now we're partnered up with them, and this deal, they're taking a hit on their product. We are as well. We agreed it's just going to last 1 week, and that's it. So it's Thursday morning, and then it's gone.
As someone who just is not the promotion man, like I'm telling you, this is a great deal. If you're on the fence about it, I don't think you'll regret it. If you're trying to get better at DFS, I don't think you'll regret taking this deal and working it out. So I know, a lot of people watching for free today. We appreciate you too, hitting the likes and subscribes. But if you're interested in getting more serious and trying to get in the winner's circle more often, this is about as good a deal as you're going to find.
Yeah, DC's the guy on the premium side that's like, we get to do the premium show. I get to like make fun of Holden. I don't have to like tell you to hit the like. Like DC loves that. So to get it from DC, that's some big stuff right there. But again, you got to sign up now. Thursday is the deadline, and like Hoopla's on the East Coast, right? You're going to be early, man. You're a dad. You wake up. You're not sleeping.
Got to get the kids on the bus. As soon as the kids get on the bus, I'm coming back and saying, "Deal's done."
Well, like I said, Get it in now. Don't procrastinate. I like to procrastinate at times. No, not the time to do it. Get in. If you have questions, seriously, DM me on Twitter, ask me in the Discord. Happy to answer the question. Just send me a DM because I do believe in the product a ton. Huge fan of it. But that'll wrap it up for us.
Yeah, just one more. A couple of people are saying what about existing customers? Like if you're an existing customer and you haven't upgraded to Saber yet, it's basically the deal with Saber is done on Thursday, whether you're existing or not. So if you're an RPS member and haven't upgraded to Saber, you're going to be paying like the full Monty price when you go to upgrade. So just wanted to clarify that because a couple of people asked it.
All right. So they'd have to hit up info at Run Pure Sports, right, to make sure that happens, correct? Or
if you're a current member at Run Pure Sports, you can upgrade with that code. So if you upgrade to a package with SaberSim, you can go into your account under subscriptions. There's a link to upgrade, put the promo code in there, and then it'll ask you which package you want. You select the one with Saber, and it figures out the price on the back end. It'd be prorated for this month, and it'll go into it for next month. But even if you're a current member, it ends on Thursday.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mango and Hoop, and DC, we will see you guys later.
What's happening, everyone? Allie here with Run Pure Sports to shout out our hosts who had great calls last week and our members who are coming off a huge week where they shipped over $1.2 million in prizes. Congrats to our very own Bobby who landed a ticket to the DraftKings Live NFL Final in Miami.
He called it a touchdown. Woo!
Touchdown, Ayuk!
Let's go!
Let's go! Let's go!
Bobby made a huge call on 2% owned running back Rashad Penny, who ended up with a slate-breaking score of over 29 fantasy points on DraftKings. Penny also landed on Run Pure Sports member the Man 11's 100K winning lineup on FanDuel, continuing the trend of six-figure hits for RPS members. On our Sunday morning Wood Show, Hoop body bagged everyone with his Hunter Renfrow call. Congrats to him for sticking to his guns with his rich parents play of the day while everyone else made fun of him. Renfrow went on to have a monster 30-point day for the Hoopster.
At this one with my boy Renfrow, I just cannot wait. And this could be it because I'm feeling good about it. Where he gets that 30 piece, I can just.
So how many weeks does it count for? Like 3 seasons?
How many guys in the NFL go for 30? Like, there's not many guys.
And he's not going to be one of them. I'll tell you that, Hoop. But you'll get.
He finally jumped in. Thank you.
He flipped on me.
Big T continued the good mojo Sunday night with his call to start Jakeem Grant in Sunday night's Showdown slate.
The guy that's going to win the slate, I'm always good when I pop in at the last second like this, is Jakeem Grant. Mark my words.
Grant went on to have 2 touchdowns, shipping Big T first in Yahoo's single game tournament. Run Pure Sports member Anger Tornado joined Big T on the Jakeem Grant play to bank a first-place finish in the DraftKings Showdown tournament, taking home over $13,000. Also, big congrats to Run Pure Sports member Swint, who took home $20K in MMA. Bad Lab joined our free MMA show the day of the event to lay out all of the best plays. Our guests have been killing it lately, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our free shows. If you are not already a Run Pure Sports member, now is the best time to join. We partnered with SaberSim to offer a huge package deal where you can get access to all of Run Pure Sports content, along with SaberSim's industry-leading optimizer and projection system. All you have to do is simply use promo code SABER15. This will knock 15% off our already low combo price for the life of the subscription and save you even more money. That comes out to be just under $130 a month for the RPS and SaberSim combo. Or you can add in our bet side and bump it to just $140 a month. That's an incredible value, which would normally cost $190 a month with separate subscriptions. But act now because this deal expires on Thursday. So what are you waiting for? Join today and let's run pure.